Let's see if we can see how noisy it is. So key goes in as a normal cart. You have to hold the brake down, if you can hear that. Don't know what that is. Then you turn it fully. It then shows ready on the dash, and you are pretty much ready to go. The aircon is on with the almightiest rumble that even vibrates the steering wheel. That's the aircon compressor. We switch it off. Quiet as a mouse. You have to turn it to 1 to be able to have aircon on. You can't have aircon and windows on at the same time. And then the rumble, and then the vibration on the steering wheel. You can have heat on, but you can't have aircon on. It's full heat, full whack all the time, depending on the speed of the blower. Or you can half heat it, so you've got no control apart from the speed of the blower, full whack, or half, which is like an eco setting. Everything else is just heat off, aircon on, speed. The only problem I did find is with everything off, blowers, aircon, everything, through the vents on the van, you still get a blow of air. So my arm was absolutely freezing the other day, and I had to put the heater on because the air was still coming through the blower. So yeah, just another notch on your list, I'm afraid. Another little thing as well, we've got this fantastic display. We've got a home button, a bit weird, but we've got a home button. We've got tap that telephone, that links to the phone straight away. Absolutely 100% hands-free, brilliant. Apart from above 50 miles an hour where you can't actually hear anybody talk because the cab is that noisy. Radio's pretty good, but doesn't seem to, it can't be a DAB because it cuts off all the time while I'm driving. So depending where I am, it's just on and off, on and off, on and off. But there's no sat nav. We've got no sat nav at all. So I have to try and use my phone, which is wedged in my bag. There's nowhere to put the phone at all, nowhere. That's pretty rubbish, really. I can't wedge the phone on any ledge or nothing where I can, maybe I could stand it. Maybe I could stand it up there. Don't really like phones in the way of the display. It's a small windscreen anyway. Probably good get away with it there. There's no pedestrians walking on the side, so I don't miss them. Yeah, not ideal. So I'd also like to talk about the cruise control. If I switch cruise on while I'm driving and then press set, it literally goes from 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and we'll just keep going until I crash or press the brake or switch it off. I'm presuming it's broke on this model. It doesn't work, but should it really break, and should it become stuck? Should it not break and fail and switch off? Absolutely amazing seats, very, very nice, very comfortable, very good armrests. 10 out of 10 for the seats. Absolutely 10 out of 10. The cup holders, everybody on YouTube mentions how fantastic the large cup holders are. What they don't tell you is, which is very disappointing really, is that I'd have been so disappointed if I'd have brought this van. The cup holder is so big, it is so massive. Here's the cup that I use, a travel cup. It would literally spill the tea out of it as soon as I pulled off. So unless you're somebody who buys £4 Costa coffees all the time with the lids on. This cup holder is a use for ornament. There is nothing holding it at all. We tend to take the lid off of ours because it's that hot with the lid on we can't drink it. So how would you pull off and break with your tea in there? Same as a bottle of pop. I don't buy bottles of pop, but for the loan of this vehicle, while I've got it for this week, I've had to buy bottles of pop because there's no other way of me having a drink in the van. I have to put a lid on it. It's a little bit disappointing, really. A few other things to mention is, if this handbrake was ever to fail, a normal handbrake, if this handbrake was ever to fail, I'm in neutral at the moment, so we've got neutral. If this handbrake fails, away the van goes. So if it breaks, if it cools, if anything is to happen, this van is gone. I can leave it in neutral, reverse, I can leave it in whatever setting, it will just roll away and the van will disappear. So there is no park mode, there is no leaving it in gear of any type or any stability or anything. I've been on jobs before in a transit van where I've been parked on a hill and my handbrake started to fail, and I've had to, the handbrake's not been strong enough to hold it, and I've had to be able to put it in gear. What would I do if I was on that job at that time? I'd have to leave the job, I'd have to not go to work, all through something that can get fixed in a week when I can book it in. So bit of a downfall on the gearing, on the park mode, which it hasn't got, and on the gear on the handbrake. Nice to have a handbrake. Not a fan. We've got an electric handbrake on our Volvo. Not a fan of it, but nice to have a handbrake. But the fact that there is no park mode, a bit dangerous, really. The first day we was giving it with an 80% charge. The settings are very basic, actually. Let's see if we can get to see this. The settings are very basic, so I've got 112 on the clock. It charges quite well. I was told this van is a 52 kilowatt battery, but I don't think it's possible. I think they're wrong. I don't think they know what they've got. I think it's a 35 kilowatt because it's only got 140 miles on the clock on a full charge. I did a rough calculation at home. I've got 76 state of charge at the moment. I've been driving it all day. It's quite good. Very, very, very good on battery. For it to be a, I think the stats are about 200 and odd for a 52 kilowatt battery, but the 140 does me all day long. I've done a full day's work and more on a little battery, which I think this van is, and still had 20 miles left in the tank, not a problem. The charging, I think I worked it out with the charge at home, I believe it was on 55 miles, it charged for 3 hours, and the charging, I roughly worked it out at 30 pence a kilowatt, if that's what I had to pay, and it worked out at £6.30. So 3 hours of charge, it charged at a full 7 kilowatts for the whole 3 hours, and it topped it up to 80%, and it gave me 100 miles on the clock, that did, and I worked it out at £6.30. So not the end of the world, more than happy with the price. This charger we've got at home is a Zappy charger, a new Zappy charger, 7 kilowatt, so that was more than happy. I believe you can have deals with Octopus Electric at the moment where you can have off-peak charging and low demand charging for about 5 pence a kilowatt. I know somebody with a Tesla who charges for 5 pence a kilowatt. He charges his Tesla 35 kilowatts and he pays £1.30 or £1.50. So probably the way forward. I don't know why, but on the first day I was giving it with 80% charge. The first time I charged it on the Zappy charger, it only charged to 80%. The second day I was down to about 20 miles, it charged to a full 100%. And the last day, which was last night, again I was down probably about 80 miles from 140, and it charged to a full 100% again. So I don't know why it charges, how it decides whether it's doing 80% or 100%. I tried it on a 50 kilowatt fast charger, and it will only charge at 20 kilowatts. It will only charge, it will only do 20. It won't do 50. It will only do 20. So I don't know why that is. I don't know the reasons for it, but I know other vehicles do charge at 50 kilowatts. I know that you know, it's a real shame that you can't get the full 50 out of a 50 kilowatt charger. The other day I was trying to carry something in the van and I accidentally locked the vehicle in my pocket. When I shut the back door, the vehicle then locked itself and I had to unlock it. So if I'd have dropped the keys in the van at that point, then we would be stuffed. I'd be out 50 mile away from home, no way of opening the vehicle, the keys locked inside. The way how the vehicle's put together, I don't think it'd have been a problem. I could have probably got in it in a few minutes without too much damage, but it's still more than hassle and grief that you shouldn't have to have. On a Transit, when you lock it and the door's open, it beeps to you and it doesn't lock the back, it only locks the front. So a lot of vehicles, when they're not locked shut, when the doors aren't shut properly, they sound the horn. Also, the rear doors fling open in the wind. There's no stability bar. There's no, under any circumstances, if you fling the door open too hard, or if you physically, if you push on the door, or if the wind takes it, that door's gone. So it's either going to fling out into traffic and a car's going to hit it and it's fling back and kill you, or it's going to get smashed off by a car with no back door. There should be, you shouldn't have heated seats and all the mod cons that this has got, cruise control and everything that obviously doesn't work, but it's got all the mod cons, and you've not got a restriction, you know, a tether arm on the back door for the wind to take. And to what if it trapped you? What if the wind blew it and it, you know, it trapped your legs or something while it was in the back door? But again, one of the many things that that are a bit of a problem. One of the other issues is, I spoke to Ministry of Transport yesterday, and it seems not to be a requirement in the UK to have a Euro NCAP rating, a crash test rating basically. This vehicle seems to have none. It's not been crash tested, it's not been put in an accident at all. We'll go around the vehicle shortly and I'll show you the pillars. It's all made of alley. It's all made also of steel 60/40 box section, which I don't know, it seems a bit strange. Anybody can knock that up in the garage. It's almost been knocked up for weight. The floor of the back of the van, I'll show you underneath it shortly, is just a 2mm aluminium plate. There's no presses in it, there's no ridges in it for stability or support. It's just a panel adhesive and stuck down to the body, and they've had to put a really strong structured floor in the back, an MDF with rubber on top, to be able to strengthen the floor so you can put stuff in it. Otherwise you just dint the floor, it's so thin. Which again, they've gone for weight, but there should be a mix of weight and strength, where somebody in this vehicle will, if you have an accident in this vehicle, you're surely not going to survive. There's also no catch on the bonnet, there's no hinges for it to latch onto, so the bonnet will open, it will latch open, and there's no way to put the bonnet. I'll show you shortly, I'll try and do it with one hand with the camera, but there's nowhere to put the bonnet. If you needed to lift the bonnet for any reason at home, at a garage, in your own garage, where do you put a painted bonnet? It's very made of plastic. The plastic doesn't fit the frame. It's misshaped, and it comes off in your hand. A lot of people review it and talk about the bonnet and say it can come off. They don't tell you that it does come off and there's no other way to open it and get inside without having a bonnet that you can't put anywhere. The noise in the cab is absolutely horrendous as well. Above 50 mile an hour, nobody can hear me on hands-free. On the motorway, it is the most unstablest vehicle I've ever driven with the wind. I've only driven Transits, I've been in a few Toyotas, I've been in a few, but my own vehicle, I've only ever really owned a Transit van. So the other vehicles I've driven, I've borrowed or rented, or had it on a test drive really. And this vehicle in a high wind, I think you struggle to hold it at 70 mile an hour. I think you'd be struggling to hold it in your lane. I was driving the other day with no wind and a lorry pulled me to one side as I passed a lorry. I was doing 70, but you should be able to do 70. I was only going one junction down the M1. Why shouldn't I be able to do 70? It's a very unstable vehicle. So we have got a USB just here. We've got, see if I can pan around there. We've got 2 heated seat buttons. Only 2-seat version, I believe this vehicle comes in. Full heater display, aircon on, you have to have it on number 1. Heaters, heater half button, blowers, face, legs and window and legs. We've got 120 watt socket. We've got another USB, reverse, neutral and drive. Don't forget, this vehicle has not got any park at all whatsoever, so if the handbrake fails, this vehicle is gone. If you're on a hill, it's gone. If the brakes cool down, you've not put the handbrake on enough, it will free roll. So make sure if you're buying this, make sure you turn the wheels towards a curb. This is a return home button on the main screen. We've got cruise control. Doesn't work on this particular motor, as I've said. It's just basically floors the accelerator on this one. It will just take you up to 80 mile an hour, 200 mile an hour, as fast as it will go until you crash. You have to try and switch it off quickly. You control the telephone here. There's no volume controls over here at all for the radio or for the calls. It's all done on here, so you can only control I can only find to control the sound and answer phone calls on here. You can answer a call on there, sorry, but you can't do the volume on there. You have to do the volume on here. I've got the eco button. 1 press is low, 2 presses is medium, and another press is high. On high, when you take your foot off the accelerator, it slows you down so fast, it's almost dangerous really. And on low, it regenerates on 1 bar, but on the dash, but it seems to regenerate for a longer period of time. You can ease your foot off the accelerator, and it will slow you down over a long journey down to 30 as you're approaching the 30 zone. So surely regenerating on low for a whole minute is better than regenerating on medium for 30 seconds. Maybe in my eyes it's the same, so why would you need to go medium or high? It's a bit ridiculous how slow it slows you down. Eco mode stops you going above 60, so that's all that does. It just reduces, I think it pulls you off a little bit, lets you pull off a little bit slower, or makes you pull off a little bit slower, and will not let you go above 60 mile an hour. We've got heated windows, and we can take the traction control off. I'm not sure if it's got traction control because it's all a little bit it's a little bit cheaply made, to be honest, but the mirrors work fine, and headlight control. Apart from that, all the dash controls are here. It is a very basic flipping through a menu. It is no finesse with anything. It's just very, very cheap, but it does the job. If you wanted this vehicle for delivering flowers locally, or chocolates, or if you had a small business with 5 vans, this is probably the vehicle to buy. But you must understand, if you have a high impact accident, you're probably not going to survive. It's made of 60/40 box section that you can buy from a steel supplier. It's welded together, something that I can do with a welder from Aldi for £60 or something. There's nothing, there's no finesse, there's no design in this vehicle at all whatsoever. We'll go around it shortly and we'll have a look at the pillars in the doors. The pillars in the doors are alley box section, and there's lots of plastic trims. It's all put together very, very cheaply. It is a designed electric vehicle and has never been a petrol vehicle, but they have cut so many corners and so many safety factors that it's a real shame that the Euro NCAP isn't a necessity, because it seems to not have one. The hazards are here, which when I first pressed them I couldn't switch off. You have to really press things hard to get things to work. The back doors don't close properly, and the sliding door, you have to really give them a good slam, otherwise you are just closing it 3 or 4 times. I've had to pull over 4 or 5 times up to yet because it's flashing at me on the dash that the back doors are open or the side doors open, where I've closed it and not checked. I've even come back to the vehicle when I've locked it and I've not shut the back door properly, because it won't close like a normal back door. You have to really slam it. So people, when I take this back today, they'll probably tell me that, oh, this needs fixing, that needs fixing. The sliding door won't stay open, so when I come to put my tools in it, I turn around and the sliding door's closed because I'm parked on a hill, so I have to wedge it open with a stick. A new vehicle, you shouldn't have to wedge open with a stick. You shouldn't have to worry about the back doors flinging open in the wind and a car hitting them. You shouldn't have to, you shouldn't have those problems. This is a new vehicle, and as tradesman, it's very bad for it. A tradesman can't buy this van. If you're a tradesman out there, you know, can you manage when you turn around to the vehicle and the sliding door being shut? Is it okay that the sliding door flings open and it's another car, a parked car, a Tesla? If you're on somebody's drive and they've got a Tesla parked on the drive, what would happen if the wind took the back door and off it goes? Not really a fair thing to sell to people, really. I know quite a few, well, several mechanics in the trade, in the industry, and I've let them all have a look at it, 3 of them, and 2 of them are very well established, 30 years in the business, really. Master Tech qualifications in different manufacturers, but very knowledgeable and a lot of experience, and both of them wouldn't dare buy this vehicle for the safety reasons, for how it's made, how it's manufactured. One of them's really just come out his time. He's a little bit green behind the ears. Callum, if you're listening to this, sorry, but he's also a bit rubbish, where he's diagnosed a few things wrong in the past. But we all have that stage, we all get there. But nevertheless, he's passed all his qualifications and he's done his time, and it scares him as well. So even somebody new in the industry who is a bit green behind the ears, a little bit rubbish sometimes, maybe, you know, we've all been there, we've all been young and stupid, but even somebody who's very green and fresh wouldn't dare put their own family in this vehicle. So I was hoping to get it on a ramp for you, so that you could so we could have a look underneath it, but I'm just going to have to manage. I've not got time, really. It's got to go back very soon. So I'm going to have to manage just to get the camera underneath for you, to show you. Really, it's already started rusting on the shock absorbers, on the washers and bolts. Again, it's nothing special. It's very Mickey Mouse put together. So after the advice I've taken and what I've seen, this is not a vehicle to buy. If you was driving around London, maybe doing 30 miles an hour, and you wanted a cheap van, and you wanted a van that costs very cheap to run, a cheap van to buy, a cheap van to run, then this is probably the van for you. You'd probably be silly not to buy it, but not to keep neither. I can't see how this vehicle is not going to rust and drop to bits. I can't see how it's already going rusty now. It's done very little mileage. Let's have a look. Let's put the key in. Let's have a look. So we've done 1,560 miles, and it's very I don't know, it's very, well, we'll see when we go outside anyway. Very good on charging, a very amazing vehicle if you want a cheap vehicle. It ticks the box, it runs, it's super efficient, it's super cheap to buy. I have to turn it down on here. Super cheap to buy, and it does the job. If I was a milkman, this is probably the van I buy. I don't know if I dare load it up with 900 and something kilograms like he says you can. Again, they have had to put an MDF floor in to strengthen the floor because the floor's that weak. It is only 2mm aluminium floor. But again, we'll have a look underneath when I get a minute, and we'll go around the door pillars and under the bonnet and show you the very pathetic build of box section. I just want everybody to see this because all the reviews on YouTube don't show you the flaws. So let's go and have a look. A little bit windy, so let's just try. So we've got alley box section welded. This is all plastic. Looks like it's on a metal or an alley frame. I'd probably guess alley actually. This is a plastic pillar, but then we've got metal panels, metal doors. Plenty of room in the cab. See if we can see underneath. I can have a tilt. There we go. So we've got 60-40 box section or 40-40 box section. It's on a alley floor, no ribs, no structure supports, just 40/40 box. The shockers are going rusty already. All the mounts are going rusty already. All the bracketry for any clips or sensors are all going rusty. Let's go on to the other side. We've got quite a few leaf springs. Again, might not worry some people, but it's not something that I'm prepared to drive. Bumper supports, rear bumper supports, nothing there, just plastic. Let's have a look under the front. Okay. So, what worries me is the whole front of this is just a 40/40 box section of struts. I know on a Transit we have got absolutely massive struts. This is something that we can all build ourselves in his back garden. This is not something that you'd expect from a manufacturer. I did go over a small bump in the tarmac the other day, and it did sound like I snapped something on the front end of the driver's side. Everything seems to be okay, but very, very cheaply put together. I'd be very worried if I was driving this. Let's have a look under the side. Okay, so this is the sill. There isn't any sills really. There is no sills. It's pure. Let's see if we can get the camera up there. It's pure, just box section, welded, bolted. There is just nothing there. Nothing for support. Nothing at all. Probably the strongest support is the battery. Let's hope that the battery is strong enough. This is a rear mount for the springs. Again, just welded onto 40/40 box section. The sill here, this is behind the sill. This is a 20/40 box section. Brackets welded on for a plastic look. Make it look like it's got a sill. And this rubber coating is just splashed on little bits. It's nothing. Already got a stone chip here. It's going to start to go rusty already. So very, very, very pathetic build. Let's have a look over here. This is the back of the battery. Let's see if we can do a bit of a pan from this side for you. So there we are. Very worrying that this is even allowed to be done, allowed to be made. This is something that we can build in his own garage. Okay, let's see if we can pop the hood. The bonnet releases here. Try and do this with one hand. But the bonnet slips forward. Be careful because it's windy. And absolutely no hinges on the bonnet at all. It just comes straight off in your hand. Absolutely ridiculous. Where do I put a painted bonnet? The whole framework is just 20/40 box section. The compressor is on, I think that's a compressor for the aircon. The only trouble is it vibrates the steering wheel, so it's on the back, no soundproofing. This is the structural support of the wing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Let's have a look. Very, very poor. Let's see if I can get it back on. It just hooks in. And that's on. Doesn't really line up very well. Shouldn't be able to, I don't know, just looks like it's not finished. Let's see if I can show you. Is that okay? Is that what you'd expect from a new vehicle? This doesn't line up. You do have to slam and push everything to its nth degree to get it to work, otherwise it doesn't open, doors don't close. Let's have a look at the this is not bad, driver's doors are fine. Let's have a look in here, not too bad, nice loading bay. They've tidied up the sides quite nicely. Nice panelling, sort of plastics like for sale sign material, but it's nice. Roof lining is a proper roof lining with a light. You'd be very impressed if you had to work out this every day. You'd be very impressed, but it's such a shame the structure of the vehicle. I noticed this on a few vehicles and the metal bracket on the back door, but what does it do? Does it just keep it in line? I was hoping it was some sort of security, some sort of locking mechanism for the top of the door where people bend doors open, but it's not. So you can have your doors bent open again. Nobody's still working on it. I would say that is about 12mm MDF to support the floor. Otherwise, there's no way you're going to put anything in this van because it just didn't the aluminium. Door flings straight open into traffic. Nothing stopping that door. Nothing. Wind takes it. So dangerous. Look at this one. It's got this silly little latch, this silly little catch that I think that door would be gone in the wind. I'd lose it. I'd have to buy a new back door. Doesn't lock. Close. Doesn't close. Keep closing it. Keep trying. To really slam it. Move on to the sliding door. So let's open it. You ain't getting any tools in there anytime soon. They will tell me that they'll fix it, but I presume I have it for a month, then it breaks again. And this is the closing of the sliding door. Again, it won't close. The vehicle doesn't tell you when it's not closed. And again, have to give it a bit extra to get it closed. But apart from that, it's a nice vehicle. If you're doing 30 miles an hour and never going on the motorway, you should survive. Alley welds, all plastic trim. Let's just have a quick look at the tyres. I think we're on a 15-inch wheel, so I'll try and zoom in for you if I can. So we've got 185 65R 15C, so it's a commercial tyre, 15-inch, 185. Let's see if we can see inside the wheel arch. Let's have a look, see if we can have a look. I'm not sure if you can see any of that actually, but quite a few rust marks already. The don't know how this is ever going to carry nearly a ton. I think you'd have it for a few years and you'd have problems, major problems. The steering wheel shaft looks like Mickey Mouse, looks like something that off a mobility scooter, but again, I'm not a mechanic, could be okay, could be how it's supposed to be. Some nice hefty tie wraps there on the orange cables. You'd think tie wraps would be not a very professional thing, but not for a manufacturer. Anyway, okay, try and do another driving test and see how we go. Let's see at 70, see if we can hear the noise a little bit better. I don't know how the camera's picking up the road noise. It is 70 miles an hour. I also noticed that I don't think the batteries have got any fluid or coolant that flows around the batteries. Maybe somebody could comment on some of the videos I've taken underneath the vehicle. This is 70 miles an hour, exactly 70, and this is the road noise. Hopefully it can pick it up on the GoPro. I can also feel the wind pushing through the doors. Maybe it wasn't made for 70. Okay, let's see if we can show you the noise from now to 50, maybe 60. And down to 20. Nice and quiet again, like a